not run the video because it's too old. Doesn't have enough memory. It keeps staggering. His is.
We have it to play back on air, but he can't play back in the room.
His Mac won't see the projector.
Okay. So what are we doing?
Giving him like 3 minutes. Oh, we're giving him like 3 minutes, and if he's not ready after the caucus, we go. And then we're going to have the three from...
Yep. So we good to go?
Ready when you are.
I'm going to call the City Council caucus meeting to order for May 27th, 2015. If the clerk would read item number 1.
Item number 1 for final consideration, an ordinance reappropriating the city's 2015 budget.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 2.
Item number 2, an ordinance amending Chapter 68 of the Administrative Code of the City of Schenectady Housing Standards Review Board.
Discussed numerous times in committee without objection on consent. Item number 3.
Item number 3, under original consideration, a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding an ordinance to amend Chapter 86 of the Schenectady City Code, Parks and Recreation Administration, to take place on June 8, 2015.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 4.
Item number 4, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Department of State, an inter-municipal agreement with the cities of Troy, Amsterdam, and Gloversville, and a contract with the Center for Technology and Government.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 5.
Item number 5, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of audit results for fiscal year 2014 for the City of Schenectady.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 6.
Item number 6, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a supplemental agreement number 4 with Clough Harbor and Associates, LLP.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 7.
Item number 7, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding of federal aid and state Marshallese program aid eligibility costs.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 8.
Item number 8, a resolution authorizing the waiver of interest and penalties for the Knights of St. John.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 9.
Item number 9, a resolution to accept 3 properties from Surrey.
Again, discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 10.
Item number 10, a resolution authorizing the sale of 1325 7th Avenue.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 11.
Item number 11, a resolution authorizing the sale of 30 Henry Street.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 12.
Item number 12, a resolution authorizing the sale of 1113 McClyman Street.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 13.
Item number 13, a resolution removing the city lien from 2522 Campbell Avenue.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 14.
Item number 14, a resolution confirming the appointment of Sarah Bonaquist to the City of Schenectady Planning Commission.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 15.
Item number 15, a resolution confirming the appointment of Horace Perryman to the City of Schenectady Civilian Police Review Board.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 16.
Item number 16, a resolution authorizing the transfer of 4 city-owned properties to the Capital Region Land Bank.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. And 3 items that were discussed tonight in City Development and Planning. Item number 17.
Item number 17, a resolution authorizing the sale of 1027 Bridge Street.
As I said, discussed in committee tonight without objection on consent. Item number 18.
Item number 18, a resolution authorizing the sale of 208 Victory Avenue.
Discussed in committee without objection on consent. Item number 19.
Item number 19, a resolution authorizing the sale of 1820 Watt Street.
Also discussed in committee without objection on consent. If there's nothing else to come before the City Council caucus, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Perazzo, seconded by Mr. Riggi. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. I will now call the City Council meeting to order for Wednesday, May 27th, 2015, and ask you to rise. We do not have a clergy person with us, so if we just have a moment of silence. Thank you. I'll ask Councilwoman Porterfield to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If the clerk would call the roll.
Ms. Perazzo? Ms. Porterfield? Mr. Ferrari? Mr. Kosher? Mr. Riggi? Mr. Mutavaran? Ms. King?
Present. Okay, we do, I believe, have a special presentation tonight. Very good. We were having some technical difficulties earlier. I'd like to introduce Paul Fahey. He's with the Schenectady County Visitors Agency, and he's going to be showing a wonderful video about Schenectady. Paul, I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
This is on? Thank you very much. As you just mentioned, I'm Paul Fahey. I head up the Travel and Tourism Bureau for Schenectady. And I'm really delighted to be the person that tells the story based on all the hard work that you folks have done. I wasn't born here or raised here, but I'm fortunate to work here. And I have an interesting perspective on the revitalization of Schenectady as you folks have been living that. Our group at this Schenectady County Visitors Agency and on our website, visitschenectady.com, have been really trying to tell a story about the changing travel and tourism landscape that's happened here in Schenectady. We think that there's been a need and an opportunity to tell that story, the attractions, the things that are making your city a wonderful place to certainly work, but also live. And so what we've produced is a brief 3-minute video, which thankfully the technical aspects have been worked out. And I wanted to share that with you. And it's really a collection of the destinations, the attractions, the things. But more importantly, and the thing I didn't want you folks to miss as we saw this, was the theme behind this. I think the reputation that Schenectady has in the greater region may not have caught up to the reality, quite honestly. When people outside this area think of Schenectady, we don't think that that matches the amazing things that are happening here. And so it was our hope to leverage that surprise gap and basically say, do you think you know Schenectady? Think again. And so what we're showing here are really just that cumulative set of things that just make it a fabulous destination. So without any more, I will push play on this, and it's about 3 minutes long. want to thank Zeb and Brendan for their talent in bringing this together, and you folks for building a fantastic city. Questions? I don't know what else happens after this.
Okay, we'll go right back to our regular agenda, so thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking time to show that.
Thank you very much.
It's really good. Okay, we have no out-of-order resolutions. We have no public hearings, so I'll look to entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 11th. Moved by Mr. Ferrari, seconded by Mr. Kosher. All in favor? Aye. Communications and petitions.
Communications presented to the City Council for Monday, May 27, 2015. Under the category of official, from the Mayor, a list of appointments dated May 27, 2015. Under general, there are none. Under petitions, there are none.
All right, move on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Ms. Perazzo? Okay, Ms. Porterfield?
Thank you. For Health and Recreation, I just want to report that the Recreation Advisory Commission has completed its inventory of all the parks, deciding what needs to happen in various parks. If people still have things that they want to see, though, they should really email Rich Paterni, or they could send me an email, and I will forward it to him. But they're going to be calling a meeting and putting together the list of recommendations based on what they've done for the inventory, and we'll be presenting that to the mayor and the city council for us to take further action on. So expect that we should be seeing something in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Ms. Perazzo?
Okay, so from the Finance Committee last Monday, we reviewed our annual independent audit. And for the second year in a row, there were no findings, no material findings in the audit. So that is great news, and it's certainly showing continued positive fiscal management. And my congratulations, or my thanks, I guess, to our Finance Commissioner, Deborah DeGenova, and her staff on that wonderful audit report. So one of the main points of the audit is we have some reserves. So due to those reserves, adequate reserves, Ms. DeGenova did request an amendment to the 2015 budget, and that will position us to fully pay 2015 retirement estimates as opposed to amortizing, which is really wonderful news, because we certainly don't want to incur any more debt than we need to, right? So the result of that, of course, in the last couple of years is that Standard & Poor's has upgraded our bond rating to an A and given us a stable outlook. And additionally, in 2015, Moody's Investor Services affirmed that the city's general obligation bond rating, it removed the negative outlook. So all good news again.
Yes.
And that they definitely referenced the city's improved financial position, favorable sales tax trend, and strong fiscal management. So I think we've all, done a lot of work to that end, and I'm proud of the audit and where our position stands financially in the city, and I commend all of my colleagues and the mayor also, and we all work together to get to this place. And then as far as the Government Operations Committee goes, I really thank all of my colleagues, because we worked hard on creating the housing standards, or recreating the Housing Standards Review Board. A lot of discussion, a lot of thoughtful consideration, and I think we all came to a point where we can all be comfortable with the outcome. Maybe not everyone getting exactly what they wanted, but a good, positive outcome. So I look forward to the mayor's appointments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? All right, if not, we will move on to privilege of the floor related to the legislative agenda. I have 4 people signed up to speak. Steve Markham. Steve.
My name is Steve Markham. Good morning. Sorry, let's start over. Wake up. Good evening, Mayor McCarthy, Madam President, and City Council. My name is Steve Markham, and I'm a member of SLIC's Schenectady Landlords Influencing Change. Tonight, we ask the City Council to vote no on the Housing Standards Review Board revision as currently proposed. As it stands, the revision does not provide this board the necessary structure and backbone to assure a balanced and reasonable forum for code violation disputes. We feel that there needs to be a more definite, effective purpose spelled out along with specific guidelines stating how this board will function. The following points of information should be specified in writing. 1, how the public is informed of the available process. 2, factors determining what cases might be eligible for a hearing and review. 3, rules of application. And 4, possible expectations and results. We concur, and I want to empathize, however that is, health and safety issues should be flagged and require proper and expeditious handling. The board's application process and determinations should be set up to reflect any urgency of this nature. Several times during the past public council sessions on this topic, it has been stated that an appeals process is built in. Exactly where is that written? Does the word appeal appear anywhere in the notice of violation? Recipients of code letters have expressed concerns about the strong, intimidating language and what seems to be unreasonable fines, fees, and/or time frames dictated. The knowledge of the ability to appeal to this board would provide some sense of relief knowing that there might be a neutral listening ear with possible help in determining a fair resolution. We would like to cite 4 examples of cases for board review. Case number 1, a landlord received a violation regarding bed bugs. Because he already knew of the problem, he had begun treatment of the situation through an exterminator prior to the date on the violation. He provided documentation showing the remediation process and compliance. In the upcoming weeks, despite his time and effort, circumstances and missteps by code caused this landlord to have to go to court anyway and deal with more loss of work, time plus more aggravation and frustration. Case 2 is next. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Morris.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam President, and City Council. My name is Chris Morris, and I'm Director of SLIC. To continue with our cases, Case 2, a homeowner on Bedford Street in Schenectady received 2 letters from Code in May of 2014. One was a notice of violation for not having rental certificates for his property, and the other was needed for porch repairs, or for needed porch repairs. As the facts played out, the rental certificate violation was in error because the owner and his wife were the only occupants for the past 9.5 years, and the porch issues were something he was in the process of addressing, but went through 9 days of permit and scheduling challenges with Code to satisfy requirements. He submitted the following letter to his lawyer seeking advice and expressing upset with Code tactics. In the letter, he says, "The arrogant, adversarial, and dictatorial wording of the letter from Code shocked me, and the presumption of guilt took me aback. No inspector knocked on the front door and asked, 'Are you the owner? Do you live upstairs? Do you rent out the bottom floor? Do you know you need a rental certificate?' We don't have one on file. No basic courtesy or civility. I can't believe that's the way that bureau deals with people who invest in the city and consistently pay their property taxes. The whole experience was insulting to me. Many thanks for your guidance," he says to his lawyer. "Please send me a bill. I'll be glad to pay it as opposed to the Code Bureau's fines, fees, and charges." Also of interest are some excerpts from his 2-page document entitled "My Code Experience." He says, "I was constantly going back and forth between home and the permit office 6 times in all. Thank God I'm retired and still driving." He says, "It's no wonder some property owners decide to abandon their houses. After a while, the code violation fines, repair costs, and permitting aggravations aren't worth it. Better to move to Florida or Arizona and forget it." He also said the civil service title of code enforcement officer has gone to their heads. They act like accusers, judges, and prosecutors, not helpful civil servants. And a final quote, I objected to the notices posted on my front doors in their language and the presumption that I was a criminal. And on that note, we say, how you are made to feel often determines how you react and how logically and successfully you can deal with a situation. A review board can only be effective and worth having if it can help stimulate, encourage, and facilitate compliance in the often difficult situations with code. Now we have 2 more cases to follow, among which is the $11,000 one that we had mentioned to you in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bonnie Treat.
Mayor, City Council, I am Bonnie Treat, and my husband Terry and I are landlords and members of SLIC. Twice in the last few years, we could have used the Housing Standards Review Board. The first time was in 2014 when my husband was talking with a code officer at one property while getting a rental certificate. They started discussing a different property that he gave us a code violations on, but all the repairs were completed. The code officer said he would go back to the office and clear the reports so that we would not have to go to court. Well, this never got done, and my husband had to go to court and pay a $500 fine. The next instance is very current. In February, we received 4 letters from the city, each with a different fine/fee, and each for a different year. We're the $11,000 case everyone's talking about. This is for having a vacant and abandoned building. We disagree on it being vacant and abandoned because our taxes, insurance, and mortgage have been paid regularly and on time. In short, we called code to get an appointment with Mr. Schilling to discuss what we could do about this, and we're not given an appointment. Told by his assistant that if a code officer went over to the property and repaired any code problems, the fines and fees would be rescinded. Sounded reasonable. These repairs were done within the 30-day limit that we were given, and with the exception of the painting. This was done on the first night's stay and still in the time limit for painting. Code was informed. Called again to see what was needed to be done next. Got the assistant and was informed that we had 3 verbal code violations, and if we fixed them, the fees and fines would be rescinded. Cigarette butts by the fire hydrant. Debris in the backyard that was under snow, and the porch steps needed repair. So my husband complied, called code, the inspector went back over and said he wouldn't pass it because the garbage cans sat on the back porch. This is when I called and asked for another appointment with Mr. Schilling, only to be told that now we had to go to the law department to get the fees and fines rescinded. I asked for a letter of compliance on the written code violations dated that they were completed on time. I finally got one on Friday, but it is incorrect. 3 months have gone by, and we've dealing with code. In conclusion, we met with Mr. Falatico last Friday and with a purchase offer on the property in our hand. Today we received a letter from Mr. Falatico rescinding the fines and fees. We would like to thank you very, very much for this. If there is a built-in appeal system in the code department, I don't know what it would be. We, the taxpayers of the city, need a review board that would be fair and would be help to solve our problems, so we shouldn't have to run to the law department. But as of right now, your addendum has no teeth, structure, or authority as written. Thank you.
Thank you. P.D. Voris.
My name is P.D. Voris. I live in the city of Schenectady for 16 years, 15 years at 132 J Street. You have recommended to the chairman of this committee of this board has recommended the appointment of Sarah Bonnequist at 220 J Street to the Planning Commission. I don't know who this individual is. I don't know where 220 J Street is. The Pizza King is 224. The building next to it, the Seneca, has been condemned. There are no other residences on J Street. And the 2 buildings, of course, that have burned. So I question that. I think it would be better served if when you make these appointments, these people show at these meetings at least just one time to let us know who they are. All your committees, I think, should be posted on the internet, the Police Review Board, and any other committees, this Housing Standard Review Board. I think all of them ought to be posted on the internet in the appropriate places. And I think it would be more healthy to have at least one member of council represented at each one of these committees. If you get more committees than numbers of council people, I think you're getting very unhealthy about good government. I don't think there's any way for these members to play catch-up on the kind of information. They become yes people instead of knowing people. So I would recommend that. There are several things. It's fine to pass the budget now, but guess what snuck in after the budget? A fire, 2 buildings down. It's going to cost $4.5 million. They're still working on that. And then the Erie Boulevard project came in underfunded, and that's going to be another $1.5 million. Things are not looking that terrific ahead. Number 8, the resolution and the waiver of interest. It seems to me, I'm aware of this situation here. It's been in existence for a long time, but this particular issue, I think, is contrived jocularity. And also, number 4, the resolution regarding the Troy. I wanted to get to this first. I don't want to run out of time, but it is a pilot program, and we're getting too many pilot programs. This is not paid taxes paid in lieu of interest.
Ms. Voris, please summarize.
You know what I'm trying to say. This number 2, excuse me.
Ms. Voris, your time is up.
It's a pilot program. It needs to be explained to us what this pilot program is about, what we're getting into. This is not payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, I have no one else signed up for privilege of the floor regarding city business. I will declare that portion of the meeting closed. We will move to a motion to approve the legislative agenda. Mr. Kosher moves it, seconded by Mr. Ferrari. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll now move to privilege of the floor regarding city business. I have 7 people signed up to speak. The first is Anthony Serrata.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Madam President. All right, now I know I said from earlier this month I was going to speak, but a couple of things came to light. One, when the incident happened at the Clough, Schenectady County, where somebody tried to rob us doing it, a reporter for Channel 6, Craig Smith, asked a simple question to Mr. Burnett, our Safety Commissioner. Simple question was, are people's safety and life in jeopardy result of that incident what's been happening in the city? Burnett flat out said on the news, no. Okay. Now, there was an incident on Upper State Street right near Christ Church where this individual, who knows what was going through in his head, for whatever reason, decided to break into people's homes during the summer and do lewd acts to people and their children while they're sleeping. Now, our police department, after the fact, found evidence connected to this individual. Now, people's safety and life are supposed to be not in jeopardy. I mean, come on. There was that incident. Then there was an incident, well, not exactly an incident, I had a friend do a video right outside City Hall here. And Channel 10 did a report on it. That report was, and the video, was if you look around here, City Hall, the sidewalks, and the windows outside here, even this window right here, there's a crack right there, corner bent, City Hall, outside the windows, crack paint, crack and peeling, even right outside your office of a window mirror. And the sidewalks. There's a huge crack in one of the sidewalks here on Liberty and J Street. Even the sidewalks out here in the main entrance, uneven. Even the yellow culture tape. I can understand in winter when you want people to use the outer stairs to enter City Hall. I can understand it, but it's still there. And the thing is that around City Hall, and not just City Hall here, around numerous parts of the city, you got sidewalks broken, uneven, cracks, people falling in. Now the code enforcement officers go to people's homes and houses and businesses just to make sure they're up to code. I understand that. You have an elderly person living on Hattie Street for 12 years. Code enforcement officers have been attacking these people, elderly, good, respecting, tax-paying people, the vets, and what have you, okay? This elderly person in Hattie Street, she had a couple loose bricks in her chimney. Code enforcement officers attacking her just because of that. I mean, come on. Something like that can be fixed like that? I mean, come on, you got serious issues here, not just cracked sidewalks. You got homelessness and what have you. Serious issues that need to be taken care of. And you'd rather take care of this stuff now like the blazing stuff? I mean, come on, Mayor.
Thank you. Jason Plank.
Madam President, City Council, Mayor. Madam President, last 2 weeks ago, the mayor misquoted when he said that the hotel was paying $170,000. The actual documents that are only been filed with the state from the city IDA is 2013. And in 2013, the hotel paid zero in property taxes, paid zero in pilots. Now, I don't know where the $170,000 he's coming up with, if that's maybe 2014 or 2015, but we are not privileged with that information. When we were talking about tax assessment, we need a reassessment in the whole entire city. The developers and the contractors and the major corporations are getting the lower assessments between 25 to 50%. We just had a grievance yesterday. When a homeowner goes in there, most of them are either being denied or they're getting either 5 or 10%. They're not getting these big, huge bonuses of 25 to 50% off that you've been doing for the last 3 years under claims. In executive session, we're not even understanding the realm of what's happening. If you're saying that the assessment is they need a 50% reduction, then the whole entire city needs a 50% reduction. So, I mean, you know, when we're looking at this stuff, and also, too, is under the economic development zone, you're supposed to have all pilots are supposed to be reported to the city on April 1st. That's part of your Economic Development Council, which you haven't even convened in the last 10 years. But it's on the books. It's part of the reason why Metroplex is put together. And the only reports that you have on this committee is in 2005 and 2007. But that's what the whole key is to let us know what the economic benefits of these pilots. Where are the jobs? I mean, we're rated as the highest unemployment rate out of the whole entire MSA area. Well, you claim that you have 6,700 jobs that you created in the last 10 years. Where are those jobs? Where are they? They're non-existent because the paper just reported almost 3 weeks ago when the state comptroller asked Metroplex for those numbers, and Metroplex says, we falsified them because we don't have the documents. We can't prove it. So here we're giving out tens of millions of dollars of federal and state money and county money and city money, and we can't even prove the documents don't exist. And then you turn around and give an assessment to a downtown property that you're praising that, hey, this is all look at all the money that we put in here. And say, no, the assessment is lower. The whole idea behind giving pilots is that the assessment will go up. And that whole entire block of 400th Street, you've given well over $100 million, if not plus. So how can the person there sit and not say the assessment is not good? Hopefully we can have an addressment on the assessment. Thanks.
Thank you. Joy Hall.
I'm Joy Hall, Schenectady. I tell you, we got issues of people turning when the arrow's not on, people turning the wrong way on one-way streets. We got to put signs up or do something to stop it before something happens. And there's a lot of sidewalks right around down here has got to be fixed too. And it's bad. And even Air Boulevard, They're going through the lights. They're not letting the people cross the street. Everything is happening. So if they put that new thing in on every boulevard, they're going to have to put up more signs, walk lights, because it's going to be a tough battle.
Thank you. Mohammed Hafiz.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council member. My name is Mohammed Hafiz, and I live in Schenectady. Last time I was here, I talked about host community agreement, and the mayor commented that the New York State law is different than in other states like Massachusetts, and the statute not requiring signing an agreement with the host community. The mayor also added that we're getting more from casino funds than other casinos and communities, and to be exact, is $4.1 million from the state. And also the mayor accused me of spreading some misinformation. Well, Mr. Mayor, I'm not spreading incorrect information. The fact remains that we don't have a signed host community agreement with Rush Street Gaming. Other cities and towns have signed agreement, and they are receiving yearly payment from the casino developers to mitigate the adverse impact of the casinos, and to pay the additional burden for city infrastructure, police, fire, ambulance services, and to mitigate gambling addiction and other social problems. The New York State law never stopped the town of Tyre in Seneca County, New York, from signing an elaborate agreement, a 44-page agreement, with the casino developer. The town, population less than 1,000 people, will be getting at least $4 million a year from the casino developer to address the direct and the indirect impacts, in addition to the funds the town is getting from the state. In addition to the funds that is getting from the state by the statutes of New York State. Schenectady is only getting its funds from the $4 million from the state and nothing else, because there is no additional agreement that was signed with the casino developer. Furthermore, the Schenectady Council voted to allocate the entire amount of $4.1 million to property tax matter. You did that last year, around June 2014. So we are not getting more than the town of Tyre, New York, and we are not getting any additional money to address the casino negative or any adverse impact. Mr. Mayor, I believe that you never asked Rush Street Gaming for a community agreement, because if you did, you would be getting something from Rush Street. Rush Street Gaming is giving money away everywhere the company goes and open a casino, but not Schenectady. Mr. Mayor, can you please demand and sign an agreement from Rush Street Gaming? And I do have an agreement, a sample agreement, just to help you out, Mr. Mayor. Here's a copy of the agreement the town of Tyre signed. It's a 44-page agreement, so I'll get a couple of copies. One for the clerk. And one for Mr. Mayor. Also, I have pages here I was asked to distribute about the funds Rush Street Gaming for all other towns. Feel free to distribute that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary McLean.
Good evening. My name is Mary McLean. I live in the city. The city has a document called the Comprehensive Plan. It costs the taxpayers a lot of money to put together. In each chapter, it calls for beautification as a goal for every neighborhood. Does the city consider how a project will beautify a neighborhood after a job is finished? The city is now working on my street. It's a half-baked job. It was better to have left it the way it was rather than to spend all that money just to patch it up. There's nothing beautiful about it. I think somebody needs to reconsider and go back and do it right. Another item. About 4 months ago, I reported to this council that I see negatives every day at the corner of my street. No one called to say, show me what you mean. Tonight, I'm going to spell it out for you. 5 years ago, when I started to plant the island garden, there was a light pole in the middle of the plot. The city had to do some work on the island. The pole was in the way, so it was taken down and placed on the side of the road. It has remained there for 5 years. I reported the situation to a council member and gave the number of the poles. As far as I know, you're still paying for the usage. 2 weeks ago, when the workers were there, I asked if they could remove it. It's now gone. Another item. Knott Street was paved 2.5 years ago. Someone carved a square around a manhole. The square was filled with cement. Later, someone came and filled part of the square with asphalt and left the rest of it still with the cement showing. That was 2.5 years ago. On the 1400 block of Knott Street, the square was dumped with concrete and never covered over. The concrete is still showing. It's not the same as the asphalt on the street. Last item, the monstrosity at the corner of Knott Street and Wendell Avenue. The city replaced evergreen trees, flowering plants, a well-manicured plot with a concrete wall and parked cars.
Ms. McLean, please summarize.
Ellis Hospital, I'm almost done. The new Ellis Hospital sign is as cold-looking as the corpse in the morgue. To all the achievers in this administration, to the decision makers, to those who have a voice, I say you trashed my neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Elmer Birch.
My name is Elmer Birch. I live in this unit. I'm here to speak. I'd also extend an invitation that there is a group trying to form a Schenectady Green Party, and we're going to be having a meeting this coming Saturday at the Niskuna Library at 1 o'clock, and we'd certainly cordially invite anybody here to attend that. I would also like to call attention to a portion of the Metroplex law that specifically refers to this body, and I'll read directly from the law. In addition to any other report required by this title, each board member appointed under the recommendation of a municipality other than the county shall annually deliver in oral and written form a report to the municipality from which such board members are appointed. In the case of the city of Schenectady, both members, there's two, one from the mayor, one from this group, both members so appointed shall jointly deliver such report. Such report shall be presented at a meeting as designated by the City Council. The report shall describe in detail the projects undertaken by the authority during the past year, the monies expended by the authority during the past year, and the administrative activities of the authority during the past year. At the conclusion of the report, the board member or members shall be prepared to answer questions of the mayor, the town board, and or the city council with respect to projects undertaken by the authority during the past year, the monies expended, and the authority during the past year, administrative activities of the authority during the past year, or any other activity of the authority which may have been conducted or which may be proposed for the performance within that municipality. That has never happened, I don't think, and that's the responsibility that falls to this body, but this body is acting for the residents of the city. And people simply don't know. It's becoming more and more difficult to know what's happening in terms of economic development. And I'd suggest that that whole economic development orientation has to be rethought, in that Schenectady is a community of largely two-family houses, and to keep giving money to developers that doesn't acknowledge that and just simply tear down the houses through land banks and the government money from the Attorney General is a pretty limited sort of solution. But I would implore you to please do call your two representatives on the Metroplex Board in for a written and oral report. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. P.D. Voris.
Yeah, I want to address these two pilot projects. The one is code enforcement information, and that's a pilot program. Then it's a shared intermunicipal cooperation agreement with City of Schenectady, Troy, Amsterdam, Gloversville regarding shared code enforcement. Again, that is a pilot project. I think that needs to be explained. I think there's a malaise around here. People just think everything's going to work out if nobody makes any noise. But there's something here called lithomania, and the definition of lithomania is overconstruction. And I've talked about this ad nauseum, I think, about the overconstruction here, and the move to move people into it. There's overconstruction, but there's also gender-based overconstruction. And so I'm not going to get into that, but you know the guys are really being taken care of first. And I don't think I want you to grow by pushing me into a housing program that I can't afford and that I will have to apply for government funds in order to live a subsidized life. And I don't, maybe you have plans to bring people in from other parts of the state or whatever for this kind of living to keep you going, to keep the economy moving around here. I see that happening. Schenectady is a very greedy place. I am most impressed with the fact that you have no shame about the ways you are willing to be creative, is your mantra. As long as it's creative, you really have no conscience about how you make money around here. There are residents living in Clough, the light opera company. There are two sets of residents there with animals. Speaker got up here and talked about the slobs that made this thing. Well, the slobs got judges and other people to clear the base for them. What they did to get started doesn't count. And by the way, what does slobs mean? Is it another acronym that goes with slick, slack, slock?
Okay.
You know,
Ms. Voris, please summarize.
think about what you're doing.
Thank you. I have no one else signed up to speak, so I'm going to declare this portion of the meeting closed, and we'll move to miscellaneous business of the council. Don't all speak at once. No? Okay, Ms. Porterfield.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to all the folks who supported the memorial flag display that we had, that is still standing in Veterans Park, that was done as part of the Memorial Day observation. And I specifically want to thank the businesses that helped. I want to thank Home Depot, Sweat and Sweat, a very local business, the City of Schenectady for this support. And also Youth Build, the young people that came to actually help make sure that they got put into the ground. And they appreciated the opportunity to be able to participate in something significant for our city and being able to be a part of that. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, to let them know that the display will stay up until Flag Day. And if people are still interested, they can still get a name on for their loved one or someone that they know that served on the flags. So thank you again.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Prazo.
Yes, I want to say thank you to all the veterans organizations for all of the hard work that they did to put two very, very meaningful ceremonies together on Monday, one at Vale Cemetery and one at Veterans Park. I think, you know, as a society, we're used to celebrating things, right? Parties, picnics, long weekend, all of that. And those ceremonies encourage everyone to stop and really think about what Memorial Day means. And Ms. Porterfield's work with the flag display was just beautiful, and both ceremonies were just so deeply touching, and it's so good to see so many people from the community there, and really a lot of work goes into it, and so thank you to them for even, you know, kind of causing me to pause and really take the time to remember. And as far as Slick's presentation of the cases, I thought it was interesting because I thought they were all great examples of exactly how this board will work. So I'm not sure where we don't see eye to eye, because I thought, well, with this board in place, all of those people have a place to go and be heard. So, you know, again, I thank my colleagues for the hard work. It wasn't easy to get where we got, but I think we're at a good place, and so we'll go forward from here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mudavaran.
Thank you. I would just like to welcome Mr. Horace Perryman to the Schenectady Civilian Police Review Board, and to wish him all the best. Mr. Perryman brings a wealth of knowledge to the board, and he will join with the other members and to continue to do the good work they're doing. Just a reminder for some of the folks asking, the Police Review Board meets on the second Wednesday of every month, 6 p.m. at City Hall, room 110. And the meetings are open to the public, and I encourage people to attend these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I thank the Council for adopting the audit. Again, it shows the continual improvement in the city's finances. You know, over the last few years, we had people who predicted, use the terms of fiscal cliff, we were going to fall over, very dire predictions. We were going to go before a control board. Those things have not happened. We mapped out 4 years ago a plan, systematically deal with the finances of this community and position it for long-term and sustainable growth. Some of the comments tonight on the Housing Review Board, the woman seemed to indicate that the appeal process does work internally, where she had a problem, went to the law department, and the matter was resolved. So again, I tell staff all the time that I want them to use common sense and want them to, again, solve problems, not create them. And we try and do that in a manner that builds confidence in the job that city employees are doing. They're not always perfect, and the only way we know about it is when it's brought to our attention. And Elmer, it's always good to see you here. That again, every year that I was a member of the Metroplex Board, we did a presentation to the City Council. It is still done on an annual basis, where the staff is here from Metroplex and does a presentation for the council, and then also at the county level. So whatever the council would like one, I'm sure that we'll get the next one scheduled and do the appropriate update. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo Ms. Parazo's comments about the Memorial Day ceremonies. I thought they were very, very particularly nice this year, although they've always been good. Also want to congratulate Brian Merriam. He really persevered with getting the two statues of Steinmetz and Edison, and if you haven't been down there to see them, it's really, really impressive. You get some history with it, and it's just a nice thing to have in the city. So I just want to commend him for that. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Kosher, seconded by Mr. Mudavaren. All in favor? We are adjourned.